Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacciana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we have an ashtray for the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a very nice glass ashtray that appears to be unblemished, no chips, cracks, anything like that. Very intricate design in the glass, and you can see where the paint process is applied to the back. This lion reminds me of the Penn State Nittany Lion. That may just be the college football fan in me. It also brings to mind boxing, which was my father's favorite sport, and the MGM Grand hosted some of the most famous fights of all time, including Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson 2. I think he hosted the first one as well. Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather. De La Hoya versus Pacquiao. Mayweather and Alvarez. Mayweather Pacquiao. Several fights there listed in the Wikipedia listing for the MGM Grand Garden Arena. And as you can see, there are a few minor chips missing from the paint here on the outline of the reddish color. There in the outer circle there are a couple, and then there are a few there with the white background. No big deal. This isn't an item that is going to end up in my store, as it was given to me last week by my mother. And as I said, it brought back a lot of memories, got me to thinking about my dad, made me think. I went back and did some research just to see how good my memory was about a fight that occurred on May 20th, 1985 between Larry Holmes and Carl the Truth Williams, where Carl the Truth Williams just beat the crap out of the world champion Larry Holmes that night. And I don't remember what the decision was, but Larry Holmes retained his title belt, and it was, everybody in the building knew it. Everybody watching on prime time national network television on a weeknight that night knew it, that Carl the Truth Williams had been robbed. But that's just sort of the way it is in boxing. There's decisions all the time that you can't live with, and so you just go on and fight the next fight. Evander Holyfield won his first fight with Mike Tyson. I'm going to go ahead and measure this real quick, and you can see that it is about 7/8 of an inch from where the cigarette rests to the table or armchair or whatever you would have this ashtray resting on. So it does have a little bit of depth to it, a little bit more of a basin type than most that I am currently using, and this is about as big, about as tall of an ashtray that I would want to use for the type of things that I smoke. It also measures about 3 3/8 inch across, which gives you plenty of room to fit 3 cigarettes is what it's actually got slots for there. But back to Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. That's probably what Holyfield thought when he went into the second fight with Mike Tyson. He had already beat him once. Probably just thought he was in for another payday. Instead, he went in there and he lost a piece of his ear. Had y'all noticed Iron Mike was hanging out in the corner over here? Evander Holyfield was actually my favorite boxer. He got ripped off in the '84 Olympics as bad as Carl the Truth Williams did in that 1985 fight with Larry Holmes. But boxing was my old man's sport. He was a big Muhammad Ali fan. I can remember sitting in our garage over there in Del City, Oklahoma, and him telling me stories about boxing matches he would seen with Muhammad Ali. I'm going to screw around for a minute here showing you and trying to wedge these cigarettes in there to where those slots would hold them in place without them having to fall down or back or be leaning on something. But as long as I tried, it was no success. So as much as I hoped that those slots might be narrow enough to actually sort of cradle and hold that cigarette, it was not to be. But my old man was not that big of a sports guy. He was always our coach. My brother and I are 11 days short of a year apart. So there were many years where baseball team, whatever, usually baseball when we were growing up, he was our coach. On the off year that he wasn't our coach, there was one year that my mother was my coach because my dad was coaching my brother. But he was just not naturally a sports guy. He was interested in the sports that my brother and I played or that we were fans of. And he became a big football fan because of us, because we played football, and then later because of us watching OU and, maybe even some of the OU players in the NFL he came to appreciate. But he himself, he just wasn't a huge sports fan. But when it came to boxing, that was his game. He would talk to you all day about the boxing matches before my time, about Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali was really a hero of his. He talked about that, which really kind of surprises me looking back at my dad's political leanings and all that. He was so conservative, but that did not keep him from being a Muhammad Ali fan. He respected Muhammad Ali and what he had done and the stance that he had made. Those are good memories, and I especially was humored to have the memory of the Larry Holmes, Carl the Truth Williams fight come back to my mind, which it was not related to this hotel at all, just boxing. And like I said, the fact that this lighter or this ashtray reminded me of boxing, and boxing makes me think of my dad. But I remember sitting there on that Monday night in 1985 with my dad and my brother. I can't remember whether my mother was paying any attention or not. I texted her earlier. She never responded. I texted my brother. He said he sort of remembered, but he certainly didn't remember it like I did. Since this is a other useful mechanism video, I thought I would show you a couple of butane lighters that I have fueled up that held gas. This one, I just fueled it for the second time today, but as you can see, that straight tubed aluminum body Ronson from the, I think, late 50s or 60s, that was not an improvement. It sparks very weakly. And I also have this Adonis that seems to hold gas just fine. And I was really excited because one of the first butane lighters that I ever tested held gas. It was actually new. I sold that one. But I could only ever get this one to light by fiddling with the adjustment lever. So, there you go. Until next time.